Hello there everyone. Okay, so 2 days ago we got a road ahead for Galaxy of Heroes, and it's safe to say there wasn't really a positive reaction to it, so I'm just going to go through it very quickly and I'm just going to give some of my opinions, so let's get into it. Okay, so they did something different this time. They decided that with the road ahead they were going to do most of it in a video. So if you want some feedback on that, what I would say is that I like the idea. However, they made it a little bit complicated by then not really explaining things in the block of text, to the point that some people have actually had to go out and try and translate it a little bit to actually make things clear for those who just need to read things. So yeah, if I was to give them a bit of feedback on the video, good idea. Just make sure you also put the actual detailed answers in the text as well, otherwise people have got to watch the video. So yeah, just give me a little bit of constructive feedback there, hopefully. We were given some news on some new units and characters that are coming to the game. So first thing they announced was the Executor. I'm not impressed by the requirements here, I'll be honest. I mean, Relic Piet I kind of get, because if he's going to be the fleet commander for the Executor, it does make sense. But equally, I'm looking at some of these and I'm thinking, okay, I know they're saying that they want to do bounty hunters. They even make a joke about it in the video, saying, oh yeah, Piet love bounty hunters. But it really doesn't make much sense. It's like, why didn't you just bring in Hondo, or actually have a marquee and make it so that it was like, okay, you want this great new capital ship, you're going to have to whale on it. You know, I think people would have respected that a bit more, to be honest, but yeah, this is just a bit random. I think it's because maybe they just didn't want to bring in a new character and a new kit. I can't say I'm sure. But yeah, some high relic levels with Piet and Boba, Vader at Relic 7, Relic 5 on TIE Fighter Pilot, Bosk, IG and Dengar. That aren't too bad, but yeah, 2 Relic 8s. I mean, all the ships here, I believe I've got all of them bar the TIE Bomber on 10 in my main account, up to 7 stars. TIE Bomber's 5 stars, but even if that was the case, I still haven't got any of these done. Well, Bosk I've got done, so that's about the only one. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a bummer, because if the Executor does become the fleet meta, I am going to be behind the curveball again. So yeah, that ain't good. Especially gating it behind Relic 8 again. It's like, I know Relic 8's been out since November, but anyone who's not in a guild that can do CPIT is going to struggle to do that. So I think that is still... I feel like they've been very rough putting that on people, but hey yo, what do I know? Anyway, next thing they announced was that they're bringing in Darth Maul, well, not Darth Maul, but Maul. I think that was expected. You can see it as well, they brought in Lord Vader. None of this was a surprise. I mean, Maul apparently is going to have the Mandalorian tag, so that implies if he isn't going to be a leader, at least he's going to be in the Mandalorian faction. But they have also said he'll have good synergy with Lord Vader, a bit like how Commander Ahsoka Tano has good synergy with Jedi Master Kenobi. So no big surprises there. I hope he's good on his own in the Mandalorian faction. I mean, we've got Commander Ahsoka right now, and I've been saying this for a few days now. I wish that the cadence had been that she came out before JMK, so that we could have seen it in a Padme team and gone, wow, she's great. And then when JMK came out, we could have been like, oh god, do we really want to take her out of the Padme team? Whereas people won't really question that now. So yeah, it's one of those where you look at it and you go, it would have been nice, but I kind of get why it's happened. So my preference would be Maul coming out before Lord Vader, but we're probably going to get the same thing just to balance it out, so it's a bit of a shame. As far as the requirements for Lord Vader, just moving down a little, Hunter, Tech, Wrecker at Relic 5, I'm not surprised at that. They're the only marquees we've had lately, so they were bound to be in there. It would not be a surprise to see Echo and Omega in there as well, so I don't know how they're going to justify Omega. They can loosely do Echo with the other 3 because they're in the Clone Wars, but yeah, Omega would be a push. Then you got Tusken Raider, that makes sense. He hates Tusken Raiders. And Padme Amidala, yeah, no big surprises there. And because of what's going on down below, we've also got Relic 8 General Skywalker announced. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised they didn't just put General Skywalker in this batch and then just do Padme later. That would have made more sense as far as not having to do a sneak peek. But alright, if that's what you want to do, fair enough. Okay, so they've done some stuff for Conquest. I won't go into too great to detail here, but it does seem like they try and mix the cards up, they try and mix the bosses up, so it could make things a little bit more interesting again, but if you're like myself, Conquest is a bit of a grind, so I don't think it's going to stop the grind, but there is something they didn't actually specify in the notes here, but they are hopefully going to try and give you some faction abilities. For example, if you use Galactic Republic, you will be able to have their ability for yourself, so little things like that do sound cool, but whether it plays out that way, we'll soon find out. I'm not going to speculate too much because Conquest, it's something that's better tested live. So when these changes come in, we can assess it and see how we feel, but right now I'm holding judgment. But yeah, we're just going to move down because this is the big headline of it all, the changes. Now, I advise you to watch the video if you haven't already, but the defense changes. Essentially, there are certain characters in the game that add bits in their kit that said ignores defense, or a bit like Darth Vader, they were just a bit too powerful. So yeah, we've had some nerfs and they're painful. So they've tried to compensate some of these to make sure they aren't too nerfed, but we're going to find out how badly nerfed soon, I guess. So if you look at Darth Vader, for instance, his basic's been buffed. He now deals 20% more damage across all tiers. Plus he's got an increased chance to ability block on Jedi and Rebel enemies. So yeah, all of that is good, I can't lie there. However, Culling Blade, which is the big move for Vader, yeah, damage multiplier on all tiers has been reduced by 40%, so he'll most likely still be able to take out, say, a Darth Revan, but he won't be able to take out a Galactic Legend. So a lot of these counters that have been built up to take down Galactic Legends, these seem to have been hit hard. We'll soon find out how hardly hit, but right now it does seem very unlikely they'll take out GLs. Which is the intention, so again, it would be a surprise if they could take out a GL. Anyway, again, they compensated Merciless Massacre, they've added a bit of extra crit chance, and I think they might have added offense, I might be mistaken there. Oh no, it's plus 50% crit chance, so yeah, they've added little bits to Merciless, they've tried to buff that a little bit again, plus with no escape, the final unique, or sorry, the unique, not the final unique. They've added protection recovery if a dot expires, so for Jedi Knight Luke's tier 7 that could actually prove really useful. So I'm kind of hopeful there, I'm kind of hopeful. Anyway, we're going down. General Skywalker, his main thing is he's been nerfed with ignores defense on his basic, which is what this whole theme's about, but they've added in defense penetration with different stats, so I don't mind that too much. They've also changed the leadership a little bit to buff him by making it so that he stands up quicker, which could nerf the CLS counter to General Skywalker, but I don't think that's their main concern. I think they wanted to make General Skywalker more worthwhile, so even though I'm a CLS main on my main account, I kind of respect that. It's like, okay, CLS shouldn't really be countering something that hard to get. So even though I don't like it, I respect it. Anyway, moving down, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. His basic, if I am right, has been nerfed a little bit. He now deals... oh, hang on, it wasn't the... sorry, it wasn't the basic that's been nerfed. He's just been given true damage. So, true damage if his target enemy is a tank, not including GLs. Plus, I think says something else. Oh yeah, so that... this is what I'm saying, they haven't really written this very well, but even this is just me trying to glance and remember what it is. But yeah, it's the special that's been nerfed a little bit. They've removed and all attacks ignore defense from Jedi's Will. So they've added a bit in, they've added offense and a bit of tenacity. So they have again tried to buff the ability. They've not, totally made the ability useless. But yeah, they're obviously trying to take the defense, ignores defense away, put something in to compensate. We're going to find out how worthwhile that is. I mean, 50% extra offense sounds nice, but compared to defense, we don't really know. So I'm guessing it's not going to be that good. And final one, they've altered... I believe they've altered, I might be mistaken. I thought they'd altered another ability, but maybe I'm imagining that. Oh yeah, they've altered it later down, that's it. Okay, so they've also altered Jedi Will's base stats, so it's added 195 armor penetration to his base stats. That's not too bad. Anyway, Wat Tambor... I'm most annoyed at this out of the ones that have been nerfed, in the sense that they've actually just taken away ignores defense from the blast out weapon mod, but they haven't actually added anything in. So I feel like Wat's been hit hard in a way, because it does still gain turn meter. It does mean that you can't be enemies can't be revived from an attack, but it feels like they've taken something away without replacing it, unlike the others. So for me, personally, I would have liked them to have just added something in. A bit like gas if it had just been armor penetration. But maybe there's a concern that that could still be too powerful. Still, I would like to hear their thoughts on that. Again, they've just dumped this on us in reality, so it would be nice if they actually communicated in a little bit more detail. Again, I don't mean to sound confrontational about this, but I'm nearly 2 days on from the announcement, and I'm still a little bit concerned about some of these changes, so I hope that the developers do come out and just explain them in a bit more detail. Anyway, just finally, they've nerfed a few characters individually still, but they've tried to make it so that they've got... they can still use their abilities, but they're going to treat Galactic Legends the same as raid bosses. So, for instance, Bastila Shan Fallen, originally CBM would not affect raid bosses, now it includes Galactic Legends. Nor in Terror, Sith enemies can't gain bonus turn meter. It used to exclude raid bosses, now it excludes Galactic Legends as well. General Grievous, Galactic Legends are now exempt from losing 10% of the max health on Skittering Horror. And we've got here General Skywalker. This one's hit a lot of people hard. So he will no longer increase cooldowns by 1 on Galactic Legends. And he will no longer decrease their current max health by 20% for the rest of the battle. So they were big nerfs. I've been speaking to a lot of General Skywalker owners, and they are annoyed at that. I've not really used the counters much, so it's hard for me to judge how much they affect it. Well, it's not to say I haven't used them, but it's been a while anyway. But I feel like maybe if you can still increase cooldowns of the non-GL tunes, which I'm assuming based on this you can, maybe you can at least affect the supports. So I don't know how much it's really going to hit the GL counters, but it does seem like a big hit. Now, the one that I think I'm the most annoyed at, I've mentioned I feel like they did Wat dirty, but I feel like Grand Admiral Thrawn's been really hit hard. I think Thrawn, throughout the entire time he's been in this game, has been the most balanced character. You know, he survived the Darth Vader meta when I think a lot of people initially thought he wouldn't survive it because he wouldn't be able to land Fracture. So I feel like putting that in his kit where Fracture now has the same effect as a raid boss, it could still work. It could still give Thrawn some viability, but it could also hurt as well. So I really wish they hadn't done that. I kind of understand why they might want to do it, but it really does feel like they've done him dirty. Just carrying on a second, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. They've affected Repulse, so it has the same effect on Galactic Legends as it does raid bosses. Moff Gideon, it can't inflict Demoralized on Galactic Legends. And Baffling Trick from C-3PO, same thing. So they've nerfed a few tunes, it's fair to say. They've also buffed 2 of the GLs, so Rey. Instead of dealing 3 times massive damage, it's now 2 times, but they've also made it so that she now deals 7% more damage with massive damage per Relic amplifier level. So I don't know the mathematics on that, I'll be blunt, but it does sound like a buff. I don't even know exactly what it's meant to be buffing against. Maybe it's to give her more viability against fallow GLs. Maybe someone who's Rey main can actually fill me in a bit more there, but it does seem a big buff to her. And then Sith Eternal Emperor, the main thing they've added is that Sith allies gain 5% turn meter whenever an enemy gains a buff that cannot be dispelled. So up to now we've been able to use Imperial Troopers to counter Sith Eternal Emperor, but because Imperial Troopers benefit from the Emperor's Trap, which is a locked buff, it means that anytime they were to take a turn, they would gain turn meter, but Sith allies would now gain more turn meter, so it's impossible to outspeed them. So, yeah, they've really tried to lock down that counter. Bit of a shame, because that was something I was hoping I could use myself on GA defense. Well, if someone put Sith Eternal down on defense, I could use that on my Crimson account. But yeah, they've essentially locked that one off. So, quite a lot of disappointment in this blog post. I mean, I go back to what I said right at the very beginning. I think it was very good of them to do a video. I did like the format. I just, you know, there were some cringy moments where they tried to do jokes, but I actually don't mind that. That's my type of humour at times. But yeah, I look at it and I think, just try and convey that information in the video into the actual blog post, because I actually appreciated the video. I listened to them and I actually thought, okay, you do get corporate speak a lot. You do get people fronting something and trying to give the corporate message, like, oh yeah, these changes are the best. And I do get the feelings a bit of that in there, but I also feel like maybe there is some genuine They are being genuine as far as actually saying we have got ideas for kits and we are just locking ourselves off from creating them because of defense. I think there is some truth in what they're saying there. So I don't think it's all BS. I don't think they're just saying this because they just want to nerf GLs. But equally, I think maybe if they were to communicate with us a bit more in the coming days and just explain a few of these in more detail, it wouldn't hurt, because they have actually given us a bit of leeway. It does say down here, I believe, that they're not going to do this for a month. Yeah, this won't be going into effect for another month, so they are actually trying to... I don't know how to describe it. They've said they're doing this, but they are giving us a month. So in that month, it would be nice if they actually came out on the forums, on Discord, wherever they can communicate, and actually just explain it a bit more. You know, they might say why they didn't want to put more into Wat's kit. They might say why they decided to add Fracture to the list of nerfs. I mean, again, those are the two that I feel most hurt by, but someone might want questions on Darth Vader as well, for instance. So just opening themselves up a little bit. I mean, we used to have the Q&A with the devs as well, which sometimes got criticised because it felt like they picked the easy questions and didn't go for the hard ones a lot. But it is something that I personally miss, because even though I never got a question picked by them, I always felt like at least I had a way of talking to devs and just trying to ask questions that were of interest to the community. Whereas now, it's very hard to get their attention, I feel. And again, that can be the way of a lot of game studios. I'm not saying that game developers have to put themselves front and centre in front questions, but it's still nice. I still think it's something that companies can get a lot of good positive PR from doing. So, yeah, if that would be my gut reaction from this. If they could come out and explain a few more of these things, I think the gaming community would actually... I think they'd respect the decisions a bit more if they actually gave more detailed answers. Whereas right now, I think there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say confusion, but maybe a little bit of trepidation. Because I've been on a stream this evening, or this afternoon, sorry. I've been talking about it, and the main fear is that we're going to have to save all GLs for defense, sorry, for offense and GA, because someone might put theirs down on defense. So I think the question I'd be asking the developers is that your intention? Do you want unbalanced ground arenas? Do you want to essentially have it that if someone doesn't have a GL, they lose because they haven't got a GL? I mean, I know you might say, well, they should farm up a GL, but some people might not want to do that straight away. I mean, I'm looking at my Temin account here. I'm 4-point-something million GP, I think 4.7, say. And you look at it and you think, I'm just about to get Jedi Master Kenobi. I think to myself, maybe I could have started around 3 million, but I wanted to carry on farming what I was farming. So people who are in that situation I was in would get punished in the current situation, because I'm currently drawing 1 to 2 GLs, and it isn't right. So yeah, just silence my phone. But yeah, I'm thinking to myself, is that what they want? Do they want to make it so that non-GL owners are punished if they face GLs? I mean, would they be willing to put something into GA matchmaking so that it does take GLs into account, so you don't draw more GLs than what you've got, or less? I mean, I'll take that. If I've got a GL, I'll be happy facing at least 1 GL per round. But if you give me 2, then I'm thinking, hang on, I can't count 2. I've only got 1 of my own. So I really hope they come out and answer some of things like this as well. Anyway, this video's gone on way longer than I intended. I've been talking for over 20 minutes and that was not the aim, so I'm going to leave it there. But please let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this, because this is the first video I've done on this kind of thing anyway. You guys have got plenty of other people to go and listen to about these things, but I'm curious what you guys are thinking, just as far as what my thoughts are. Do you agree with things I've said? Do you disagree? Do you like the change? Do you dislike the changes? Just let me know in the comments. Alright folks, I will see you in the next video. Bye for now, folks.